Today I want to show you how to create a menu page for a Zoho Creator application using icons. So you can see here I've got this home page and it's got a title called Choose a Report, and here are 5 different reports with icons, and below this you have a section where you can determine how it should open. Should it open as a new tab, the same window, or a pop-up? Right now I've got it set for pop-up, but I'm going to change it to new tab, and I'm going to use the application access tracking report, and you see it opened up in a new tab. If I close that tab, I come back to my original. I could also use a pop-up, and you can see here's the task reports. So this is a very useful interface because it makes it easy for the user to navigate. It also can be embedded in a website, and that gives you a lot more control on what people can get to. So if this was embedded in a website, the only areas they can get to are these 5 sections. They can't get to all the things on the tabs up here. So I want to show you how this is built. And first we have to build a form to hold the different reports. You can see I've already got 5 of these in here. Those relate to the 5 icons that you saw a moment ago. And I'm going to edit this first one here, which is it's actually a form. The first field is a sort order, and this determines how those icons are displayed, which one comes first, which one comes second. The next question is, do we want to display this as a form, a brand new form for them to enter information, or do we want to give them a report, which would also have an add button or an edit button? What is the wording we want displayed next to the icon or below the icon? What's the internal report link name, and what's the internal creator form link name? Now you can also, and I'm not going to show you the details on this, but you can also set this up so that the icons that show on that menu page are limited based on the login ID. So maybe this particular report would only be viewable by people in the accounting department or in the sales department. Like I said, I'm not going to show you the details, but it just gives you an idea of what else could be done. Now, here's the icon field, and you saw a moment ago that the images are displayed here. And we can also determine what the height and width of the icon is going to be on the menu. So that's pretty much the fields that are included on this. And you can see here's the order number, and this is the way they'll show. And maybe I want the staff is actually not that important, so I'm going to make that a 5. You know, it's rare that people need to actually look at the staff list. It's, you know, depending on the circumstances. But let's make the task list. Let's make that just a 1.0. Okay, and if I go back to the home page, you'll see that the order of these has been changed. So that's how it looks from the user point of view, and it gives both the user who's actually looking at it, it gives them a nice screen for them to determine which items they want to look at, but it also makes it fairly easy for the application administrator to manage that menu. You know, they do need to know the internal link names, but everything else it doesn't need the coding. All the coding is hidden. But you're interested in the coding, so let me take you through a quick walkthrough on the coding. And let me close this tab here. Okay, so this is the form for the to keep track of each report, and this is pretty straightforward. There's really nothing fancy here. So I'm not going to spend any time with it. You saw the fields, and you do want to make the sort order to be a decimal field. That allows them to squeeze new reports in between others. If you just had it numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, then, you know, gee, if you want to squeeze a new report between 2 and 3, you can't do it. With a decimal, you can make it a 2.5. Now, here's the home page itself. It's a stateless form. It does not store any data, and it really only has two fields. It has, and let me do this one first because it's a little easier. This is the field that contains how the report is going to be opened. And this is just a very standard radio button field with three choices: a new tab, same window, or pop-up. Okay. Now, this is the one that's a little more complicated. All right, so this is a field, and it has a strange field name, and I'll show you that in a moment. But here's the internal field deluge name. So internally, we know this as choose a report. The code up here is some HTML which changes how the title will look. So you can see we've got a font size of 6, we've got a color. Here's the text that actually gets displayed. And if we scroll a little further over, all we have is the HTML to close the opening font statement. Okay, so let me just jump back here for a second. So on the home page, the title gets a larger heading and just makes it look a little nicer. Otherwise, it would show as this kind of text without the extra HTML, and that's kind of dull. So this stands out, and of course, you could include instructions, you could include other items. All right. Yeah, I'm also going to close the report list. Okay, so that's the interface on the home page, and I'm going to go into the onload section. Okay, and what happens here is we loop through that report name form that we were just looking at, which includes all of the forms or all of the reports that we want to show on the menu. So we're going to loop through this, and we're going to sort it by that sort order field. And we have it. The first thing we do is we take the image icon and format it so it can be displayed. And this calls a function within this application that just reformats that and makes sure the size is correct based on our height and width. Okay. Now, once we've got the formatted image, we then add that to our radio button of choose a report with the UI add statement. And you can see we take the formatted image and we add an HTML coding to indicate that we want to break after the image, and then we put in the report display name. What the break does, it puts the display name underneath the image. If we took this out, then the display name would show to the right, and I am going to show that. Let me cut that, and I'll save that. Okay. And let's refresh the screen. Okay, and now you have the icon and the name right after that. All right, so here we have the report name to the right of each icon. You'll see this one is still split, and I'll show you why that is in a moment. But I'm going to go back in and replace the code that I took out because I like the titles underneath the icons. Okay, so this is how the icons are built, and this is once again fairly simple. And the same code is also in the Open Reports in, and this is the section which determines whether it's a new tab or a pop-up, whatever. And the reason this is in here is so when that's chosen, that let me come back here. Well, it's kind of hard to see, but it refreshes this whole section. So just by choosing this, it refreshes it, and it's one way of taking out the whatever choice was done previously. Okay, all right, and let me go back to the report list. So I do want to show you one more thing. On this application access tracking report, we have, once again, the HTML code for a line break. BR stands for break, and that's why on the home page, this shows on 2 lines. So those are kind of the fancy ways of how this gets displayed. Now the the other side is, well, what happens when the button is actually selected? How do we open a new tab? How does this come up as a display? So, okay, let me close that. All right, so the coding for that is, it's on the, actually, let me go back to the home page here. It's actually in the choose a report section. So if we choose on user input, you'll see this code here. And let me kind of break this up. So the first thing it does, remember this is a radio button. So what it does when it's clicked, we take the information from the display, and we get the report name. So here we have as our divider between the icon and the report name, we use that break. So if you take the break out, you'll have to put in something else. So you know this is the end of the icon and this is the beginning of the report. So here we are getting the report name, and then we use the report name to get or to fetch the report record from the report list. So now we have the report's names record, and from there we can grab all the information in there, which includes the link name and all the other items that we put in here. So we're going to compose the URL so that we can use that in an open URL statement and display the right information. So the first part of the URL is always the same. It's in this case it's creator Zoho with the application account and application name, and not to be covered in this video, but Zoho.appuri provides the application name. So all right, so that's the first part. That's pretty standard stuff. Then we from the report's record, we first determine, are we looking at a form or are we looking at a report? If it's a form, then the second part of the URL is going to have form perma, the report name record, and the form link name. We're not doing anything with criteria at this point, but we could. If the type is a report and not a form, then the second part of our URL is view perma and the report link name. So here's the form link name, here's the report link name. And here's just an example of how the criteria could work. It could be set so that the client name is equal to our client record client name, and that would be in a more complex situation where we've looked at the login ID of the person who's logged in, and maybe we want to limit them to see only records that are part of their clients. So each login ID may be able to see different parts of clients, and so this is just kind of an example of what the criteria could be set to. You could also do things that are not part of the related to the login ID. Like if we were doing the task list, we could say only show me tasks that are not completed, or put in any other filter that you wanted in the criteria. All right, so this is how we're composing the URL for the open URL statement. So we then have the URL first part and URL second part and the URL criteria, which in both cases, in this example, I'm leaving the criteria as blank. Now we look at the other field, the open report in, and if it says same window, then we have open URL in same window. If it's pop-up, then we put up a pop-up window, we put in the height and width. If it's a new tab, we use this to open it as a new tab within the application. So once again, now that you've got the code example, let's go back to the actual user interface, and let's go into the soft requests, and opens up as a new tab. If I come back here, I could open up another report in another new tab. So it does give you a lot of flexibility. And I come back here. When you're opening up in a new tab, if you use this example, opening it as an iframe with the blank, then it opens up in, each time you choose, it'll open up a brand new tab. If this was just set up as new window instead of same window, then it would use the same it would use the same tab over and over again. So the first time you open up a report in a new tab, it would open a brand new tab. But then when you open up another report, it'll use that same tab it created a moment ago and put the information to that one. And sometimes you want it one way, sometimes you want it another way. So this is the other way. And if we wanted it to reuse the same new tab, this would be the coding for that. All right, so those are the functions and how this menu with icon works. I do want to show you this information. This is the function that formats the icon. So in this case, we're feeding it a record ID, what the height and width should be, and starts off, we give it a little safety of no image. We then grab the record list so we can get to the icon, and we use the height and width from our report. If we had fed this function different height and length, height and width, then we would use ones we had fed to this function. If not, it uses the defaults that are in the report list. All right, so now if we look at the report list icon, if it has the word image in it, then we format it according to these instructions, which is mostly what's going to happen. And the fancy thing here is, we'll format it, use this fairly obscure string to get all the right parts of it, and then the information that we're going to return is the image height, image width. And let me slide over a little bit. Okay, and then the source for the image is comes from the published link that you would have for that particular report. Okay, so once again, it all comes here. It's coming from the report list report. It's the field called icon. We need to use as an image download, and then we have the security string that you'll see if you publish the report. And let's just slide across here, and then at the very end we have the image file name and then the closing information. And the image file name is the statement right here. Okay, so this is the code to get to the actual, or to format the image. And this code comes from the forums, and let me just highlight this so you can copy it yourself. So in the Zoho Creator Forum, there's a topic called Showing Images on a Form. Okay, so you should be able to grab the code from there directly. So once again, I'm going to go back up here just so you can see how this can work. And like I said, you can embed this into a website, which gives a lot more control on how it looks, and it becomes very easy for the user, it becomes very easy for the administrator to manage the reports. We could easily put in on our report list, like I said, we already have it set so it's viewable by certain staff roles, and you could also put in one that says none, and then it's just hidden from everybody. So anyhow, I think that this is something that can be very useful to make the applications, the Zoho applications, look a little better, have a little better control on them, and I think you might find that useful. So thank you for your time.